with a process video for Lottie Loves Paper, and this is for the Lottie Loves Paper June Sketch 2, which went live even on June the 10th. So I'm going to be using Vicky Bouton's Colour Study collection, and I'm going to stamp some of the flowers from the stamp set that goes with this collection with her Vicky Bouton's art crayons. These are the pastel crayons. They're sort of waxy and they're lovely to use to stamp. I'm keeping that wet wipe just handy though, because I do tend to get my fingers in a bit of a mess, and then I put colour smudges everywhere where I don't want them. So always keep that handy to clean my fingers in between, especially because I seem to have managed to break the tip off one of my crayons. I'm not quite sure how I did that. So I'm colouring the stamp with the crayon and just spritzing with water before I'm stamping. And then when I've stamped enough of the flowers, I've done 3 different sizes and I've done some leaves, I am just finishing off fussy cutting that last one there. And I've stamped them on some watercolour paper to get a nice watercolour effect with the art crayons and the spritzing with water. Now I've fussy cut those, I have a collection of flowers to use as embellishments, and I'm going to use this fabulous new stencil from Peartree cut files, and I'm just using a photograph marking pencil. It's one I've had forever. I got it from Creative Memories back in the late 90s when I first started scrapbooking. And it's one of the things that I'm so glad I've kept hold of, because it's really useful. You can mark things like photographs and non-porous surfaces, and then it just wipes off. So I've put a few marks on that stencil to give me a guide as to where my photo placement is going to be, so that when I use the stencil with the texture paste, as you'll see in a moment, I know roughly where things are going to sit on top of the stenciling. But before that, I'm just mounting my background paper, which I've trimmed down, onto a frame to give it a nice little border, just distressing the edges with my scissors before I stick it down. And then that just gives a little bit of frame in a contrasting colour. I'm going for quite a monochrome effect. This is my favourite colours, these teals, one of my favourite colours. And in the photographs, as you'll see, I'm wearing a top. So I've kind of matched the colours in with the pattern on the clothes that I'm wearing and gone with just that teal and black colour combination. Just trimming off the edge there. It's one of those situations where I didn't quite get it straight, and I've got to be really careful, because if I keep trimming, I could end up trimming it further and further and ending up with nothing and having to start again. Been there many times. So now I've got Vicky Bouton's iridescent glaze, and I can see, because of the little marks, where I want to place the glaze through the stencil, so that it kind of, the idea is so that I've got some sort of poking out underneath my photographs and embellishments. So using my spatula to apply that through this dotty stencil. And I love having a 12 by 12 stencil, so that you don't have to move it around. Wait for some of them, you have to wait for them to dry, so you can put them back over the top of where you've already been. Having a 12 by 12 stencil is fabulous. I think I've got enough there, just dotted some mainly in the middle with a few bits around the edge, and then just placing my photos and that little tag back on, so I can make sure I'm happy with the stenciling that I've got. Just cleaning off my knife, and then I'm going to stick my photographs down using some 3D foam sheet. Just to raise them off the background, using my silicone glue gel so that I've got a little bit of movement to adjust them once they're placed. And I'm just using 2 photographs. They are different, slightly different photographs. Although there's not a huge amount of difference. And then I've decided I was going to use that tag, which says I can do all the things. But then I've decided that I prefer that ephemera card. That's from one of the ephemera packs from Colour Study. The tag is cut off one of the cut apart sheets. But I preferred the tag, the ephemera card, which says you are the artist of your own life. And I kind of really like that saying. Just adding so I've mounted it on some photo card, some white card to give it a white border, and then I'm also popping it onto that bluey tealy border to give it a little contrast from the background. And then I'm going to pop that on flat. Just kind of toyed with the idea of putting it over the top of the photograph, but I think I prefer it tucked underneath. So now those are in place, I can start adding my ephemera and my title. I really like that right here. That's from one of the ephemera packs as well, but I felt that the white, there was too much white. It's a bit thick around the edge, so I'm fussy cutting around that phrase to reduce the amount of white, because I think that was because it's on a black background, was why it kind of stuck out to me more than if it had been on a white background. So I'll fussy cut that round, and now you can see there all of my stamped flowers. I'm just arranging them around the photographs, keeping it really simple, not using lots of different embellishments, but focusing on those stamped flowers. I have used a couple of different tones of art crayon, and I've used a peachy colour in the middle, so there is some slight contrast of colour on them. Now using my silicone glue gel to pop those in place. Tucking the leaves, obviously I've stamped the leaves in green, just bringing a little bit of extra colour in to tie in with the background of my photographs as well. I took these, haven't got, not having much photo opportunity at the moment. These are selfies I took in my mum's conservatory when I went over for a visit recently. Just adding my title. And they're my main bigger embellishments added. Just popping a little bit of extra glue under that title there. And then just seeing what else I want on the page. I've picked out these butterflies from the ephemera pack, and they are beautiful. I love the one on the vellum with the foiling especially, but I can't really find a placement for it that I'm happy with. I think it's a bit too big. So instead I have fished out these Bramble Fox embellishments as a camera, which was new, actually just arrived the day I was making the layout, so that was handy. And the butterflies, which I've had for a long time, but they're the same colour as the camera, so that was brilliant. I had to able to match them in, and just sticking those onto the background. Just can't decide where that one is going to go for a while. Just playing about with the positioning, and just adding that one in as well. So just bringing in some touches of the darker colour. And I really wanted to use that paint tube because of the quote that I've got on there, but it really wasn't right. It wasn't going to work anywhere, so I abandoned that idea. And now I've got some of the Peartree pieces from Peartree cut files in the silver. There's a mixture of grey and silver felt pieces. But I've got that little sticker from the Colour Study sticker book, which is all from Lottie Loves Paper. And it takes me ages. I move it around this place. I try it in pretty much every position that I could possibly try it in before I settle on where I'm going to pop it. This is what I call the faffing stage of a layout. And I'm about to faff with me silver stars as well. Just popping them on the layout and seeing where they work. Trying to make a decision, which is always a struggle for me at the best of times. Just thinking about the sizes and which I want to go where. moving them about all over the place. Just make a decision and stick with it. There we go, finally. I think that's why I like that silicone glue gel, because even once I've stuck them down, I'm not committed because they'll come off really easily and move around. Using some of the darker grey ones as well as the silver. And then I'm just going to finish off with some white splatters. This is Dilution's white cotton. I think I've had it forever. Ink spray. And it's really nice because it dries white on the dark background. And then I've got some Nuvo drops, and these are Nuvo vintage drops, and they dry with a matte finish. It takes about, I can't remember how long it takes, about 12 to 24 hours for them to be completely matte. They kind of go matte over the period of time that they dry. They're not that different, to be honest. I'm not sure I'll rush out to buy another bottle, but I like the colour. And there's my layout finished. I do hope you can pop over and join us on the Lottie Loves Paper Facebook page for our sketch challenge, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon. Bye!